Ken Davidoff is here, New York Post. He's got his Hall of Fame ballot. Tom Verducci will reveal his tomorrow. He won't show it to me. Okay, fine. So we're going to talk about Ken, but I brought him here for backup just in case things get rough
I'm
right
ready.
now. All right, I'm opening
ready.
my mind. I'm opening my mind, Ken. Give us your ballot. Reveal it. Who are you voting for?
Okay, am I getting any help here? I just got to memorize it. Here we go. Okay, thanks.
You want me to do it for you?
A lot of names. A lot to remember.
Here we go.
There we go. Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Todd Helton, Derek Jeter, Andrew Jones, Scott Rowland, Kurt Schilling, Sammy Sosa, Manny Ramirez, Larry Walker.
Wow. So, well, first, can I just, you go Helton and Jones and Rowland and Walker. So, there's a certain grouping of what, I'm a big Hall guy, too. That's interesting. But we got to get right to, I mean, you're going Bonds, Clemens, and you're going, you got Manny as well, right? And Sammy Sosa.
And Sammy Sosa.
So you're steroid blind to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this conversation before, BK. I feel like the morality clause was in the rules, but was not regarded at all until Mark McGwire got on the ballot. So I'm not comfortable drawing that line in the sand when, in my opinion, people who damaged the game more were already in. In my opinion, in the first, 60 or so years of the Hall of Fame, it established itself as a museum, not worrying about character or morality, and I want to keep it that way. Even if,
if you wanted the character clause, which was put in at some point, even if you're just a voter, trying to do the right thing, right? Let me honor, this is the highest honor in the game. What are your thoughts to guys who had to have a systemic system used, as I said earlier, surreptitiously, lied about it for maybe a decade or however long they were doing that, and then granting them or trying to grant them a high honor?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's not my job to look after the guys who played clean. I feel like this was a player issue. They eventually came to an agreement, okay, let's police this, and now things are better, if not necessarily perfect. And I just feel like, it was discussed before, my greatest concern is people like the gamblers, like the colluding owners, the segregationists, because those people weren't doing everything in their power to try to help their team win. I feel like at a certain level, steroids and sign stealing are reindeer games in the sense that you're buying a ticket to see your team try to win. And yeah, people...
They were certainly trying to win.
People cross lines. We're not that impressive a species, let's face it. And there's going to be continued attempts to do this in different ways.
True, but you can't go back and find the racists or whoever it was in the past and try to stop that. You have the power. They are asking you, right? Tom, weigh in on this. I think they are asking you, no, you're going to have to be the jury on this.
Yes, and it's not a morality clause. That's not it. It's a character clause. We're talking about the gamesmanship, the integrity of the game itself, what happens between the white lines. It has nothing to do with your morals outside of the field. This is just about, did you play the game upright and fairly? Because that's the bedrock of any competition. The minute you lose a level playing field, you lose the bedrock of the competition, whether it's sign stealing or using PEDs. They knew exactly what they were doing. I will say this, what I like about Kenny's ballot there, I respect the consistency there. We have a lot of people going through mental gymnastics of voting for guys they know that use PEDs and not voting for guys they knew use PEDs. That makes no sense to me. So the consistency, I respect that end of it. For me, honor comes from a Latin word for reputation and dignity. Hall of Fame is the highest honor that you can give anybody. I'm not honoring people who went on the wrong side of competition willingly, and as you said, systematically as well. I mean, why is baseball the only sport that wants to honor PED users? Are the track and field people eager to put Ben Johnson in the Hall of Fame? Lance Armstrong in the Cycling Hall of Fame? It's really weird. People will go to bat for PED guys when they don't even go to bat for themselves.
Okay, answer that.
Again, I feel like it's selective outrage, and I feel like there are already terrible people, or at least people who did terrible things, in the Hall of Fame. At the end of the day, I try to be as unemotional as possible. It's a museum. People say to me, what do you say to your kid? I have one kid. What do you say to your kid about this? I say, we're teaching them about museum curation. That's what we're discussing here. It's a museum.
Yeah, but the museum, they are in there, and Bonds, Clemens, and their accomplishments.
It's
separate. And then there's we're going to honor those. This is the Pantheon. Here's the gallery, and we physically invite them in, and we're conferring this halo, basically, to them, saying, these are our greatest warriors. And I don't know, it seems like, are they the greatest warriors or crooked cops? Because they were cheating. To this day, they don't speak about it. They can't speak about it. So you're choosing, and not only that, now Manny Ramirez, by the way, you're going performance only, and I like that too. but Manny Ramirez did fail tests. So are you saying failed tests don't bother you either? And going forward, failed tests don't bother you?
Well, I'm gonna upset you here, but the time I changed my mind on Manny was when Bud Selig got into the Hall of Fame, because there were rules against owners colluding. It was a collectively bargained rule, and Bud Selig broke that rule 3 times, was punished for it. So if you want to look into the camera and tell our listeners that what the owners did was better than what the players did.
I'm not saying that at all, but all right, so you're down on Bud in the Hall. Fine.
Yeah.
You might not like Bowie Kuhn in the Hall.
I don't.
Fine. You might not like Harold Baines in the Hall. Not you, but other people, right? But you can't change that. You're affecting this now. These are separate issues.
And I respect what you're saying, and I respectfully disagree, because I think it's about historical consistency. I think it's about the consistency.
But you're saying all bets are off. And you're saying if Bud's in, well, then we might as well vote all these guys in.
Absolutely.
So all bets are off.
I don't think it's fair. When someone who did something worse is already in there, it's a museum. It's not heaven. I know you talked about halos. You walk in, you pay your admission. It's a museum.
Well, you can choose precedents that you want, because the character clause has been there from the beginning. Joe Jackson actually was on the Hall of Fame ballot. It was put to the writers' vote. He got almost no support.
It went without saying that you wouldn't vote for a guy who did that. You know what I'm saying? It went without saying. They didn't. You're right. They didn't have to tell writers, well, don't vote for Joe Jackson, because they all thought, well, of course we're not voting for Joe Jackson. He cheated the game. So I understand. I vehemently disagree with your point. I can respect it, but I don't get it if you're choosing to honor those players. That's what it is. It's not heaven, but they're physically going there, getting their day in the sun, and you are kind of then retroactively saying, hey, you know what? All that, it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay. We're human beings. We're fallible. Yeah, I mean, again, like my job, it's really, Tom and I respectfully disagree on this. I'm not that worried about the clean player. It was their responsibility to legislate the drug testing program.
Players Association fought that tooth and nail. That's true.
Until they stopped, and in recent years, the advancement have come because of the players pushing for it.
Okay.
I am looking after the ticket buyer. That's my job as a watchdog.
So when A-Rod hits the ballot?
Oh, yeah, I'll
then it's A-Rod.
Yeah.
Anybody that moving forward that fails tests or admits it, you're performance only. Mm-hmm. Okay. There you go. Consistent. Ken, we'll do this again.